Hello, everybody. You got some glow sticks, right, Bloom?
Mm-hmm.
Boots and pants and boots and pants and boots and pants. You ready for this, buddy? We haven't done this in a while.
Just say heck no to techno.
Nobody listens to techno. We got our dance groove on. It's the Audible Week 1 recap. Cecil, Lammey, Sigmund, Bloom. And it's good to be back. It's good to be back live on this program. We're going to put up your comments because we don't do silly super chats. And I guess I don't brush my hair. But anyway, let's get into this thing, Bloom. But before we do, it's week 1, baby. And oh my God, some of the football was terrible. Terrible football.
Yes. Week 1, week 2 is the new preseason. I mean, we can't overreact. But there's still a lot that we can dig our teeth into here. And there was still a lot of meaningful stuff. There were some meaningful takeaways. Some we may come to find out in a week or two were not so meaningful as, some teams hit the snooze button instead of showing up for the game in week 1.
Right. And I think that's where we get false positives. And I think that's where we get false negatives too as well, Bloom. So
right.
Let's get into it. The Bills and the Cardinals, 34-28 the final score, and it's the Bills that get the win, but they were down for part of this game where you're like, are the Cardinals going to beat the Bills? No, because Kyler Murray doesn't throw it to Marvin Harrison Jr. Why? Like, it should be an emphasis. He had 3 targets. Greg Dortch had 8 targets, 6 for 47 for Greg Dortch. 1 for 4 for Marvin Harrison Jr. Like, you got to do that, man. You got to game plan and scheme it up for him. 9 targets for Trey McBride, 5 for 30. I had Isaiah Likely on my bench because Trey McBride's my normal starter. I'm still bitter. But like, what are you doing, Kyler? James Conner scores a touchdown. Okay, 16 for 15 a touch, 5 for 57 for Kyler. But it's like, if you're not going to emphasize Marvin Harrison, and again, it's week 1, windows, they'll learn. But what the hell, bro?
Yeah, this was a horizontal passing attack. Now, this was a game that Arizona led early on, so maybe that's part of it. Buffalo's defense, not exactly that imposing in terms of the secondary now. It's not like there was a shutdown corner, but you really saw early on it was more James Conner and safe passing, and Kyler Murray's still tough to corral in the pocket, but in the end, it didn't really result for that much for fantasy in this passing game, including for Trey McBride, who led the team in targets. Greg Dortch leading the team in catches and yards. So what did we hear all summer? We heard about Greg Dortch, not Marvin Harrison. And that's what happened this week. Now, I'm not saying to bench Marvin Harrison next week against the Rams. All of the Rams corners are banged up. And that should be a game that we want to see, divisional game. You want to see Kyler Murray open it up a little bit. But it's a certain point, Cease, we may have to ask, are we benching Marvin Harrison? And it was one of those things where he was coming into the league refined and advanced. So you wouldn't need to scheme touches up for him. You wouldn't need to manufacture touches for him. He was a ready-made number 1 receiver, but I guess in this case, he's a ready-made decoy, and not even a decoy that results in a win, as Arizona's offense really just got stuck in the ditch on the side of the road in the second half. It was DJ Dallas with a kick return touchdown. That was really the offense in the second half for this team that could have easily had a big road upset.
Yeah, big road upset, and it didn't happen. Buffalo fought back, and, well, how do they do it? How does Buffalo usually do it? And they do it with Josh Allen running the rock, 2 rushing touchdowns, 2 passing touchdowns, 1 to Khalil Shakir. I love him. And then 3 for 42 and a touchdown there. And then another one to Mac Hollins, 2 for 25 and a touch there. James Cook with 3 for 32 as a receiver, and then 19 for 71 as a rusher. Let me see. Keon Coleman, 451. I don't know if I already said that. Curtis Samuel, we were kind of curious, like, what's his playing status even going to be? Didn't do a whole lot. Speaking of not doing a whole lot, Dalton Kincaid and Dawson Knox.
Sure.
Get some pretty good tight ends. Like, all right. But again, week 1, false positives, false negatives, whatever.
This is not a whatever, simply because guess what? The Joe Brady offense in Buffalo in 2024 looks like the Joe Brady offense in 2023. And they have a lot of guys that they can feed in the passing game. So, sure, you got a touchdown out of Khalil Shakir. And, of course, we knew Mac Hollins was going to mess this up. Mac Hollins getting a touchdown. not going to be anyone you can count on week to week if everyone's healthy. And Josh Allen is going to distribute the ball. Josh Allen's going to play with it himself. He had one bad sack early on in this one, a fumble, but otherwise he was a maestro. And he was calm and kept this team on track when it seemed like the big road upset, stumbling out of the blocks. No. And Josh Allen also helping fantasy teams not stumble out of the blocks. Again, just like last year, they get down close. James Cook did get a few goal-to-go carries, but it was Josh Allen finishing the drives, whether with his legs or his arm. And Khalil Shakir, at least that touchdown, showed his run-after-catch ability, some great determination at the goal line. So more of that. Khalil Shakir isn't necessarily up on this one, but he's maybe the only one in this passing game that's not down. Keon Coleman had one big catch where Josh Allen trusted him to make a catch in close quarters. So that could be something that yields some fruit for fantasy football down the line. But for now, everything went the way the Bills wanted it to go on offense, which is going to be really frustrating for fantasy football. But we get to see them on Thursday against Miami.
Yeah, look at all of our favorites, right? Cabuto,
Mac.
Kincaid ignored as well. Scheme over talent drives me crazy when they waste the talent. Yep, it's kind of the NFL because coaches are so God blessed stubborn. Sorry,
Yeah.
Joe. Let's get into the next game up here, and it's the Patriots winning over the Bengals. Didn't have that one on your bingo card. 16-10, the final score. Jacoby Brissett, 15-24, 121. No TDs, no INTs. Austin Hooper. Why am I even talking about anyone except for Ramondre Stevenson?
Exactly.
25 for 120 and one touchdown. There are some guys like Stevenson and Joe Mixon where we had heard all offseason they're going to love it. Yep. Ramondre Stevenson was fantastic today.
Yeah, as long as the team is competitive, and next week against Seattle, we'll see. We'll get to that later in the recap. Ramondre Stevenson's going to get fed, and he's going to look like a guy who should get fed. And obviously, he's one of the players. See, so we have a whole list of players that if we drafted today would go a lot earlier, and we have a whole list of players that would go a lot later. Stevenson, one of those guys earlier. Jacoby Brissett did his job, took care of the ball. Defense played well, even though they traded away Matt Judon. It was nice to see Jared Mayo get the Gatorade. I like that. That made me smile. That made me happy. Made me happy for the Patriots players that they have the kind of coach that they want to celebrate in a big win.
Yeah, celebrating a big win. And then if you're the Bengals, well, what are you doing? What are you doing, Hans? Because when you mess with a guy's money, that's clearly going to be it's going to cause like some sort of feel in the locker room. Not there in Cincinnati, but this is your own design, Cincinnati. Maybe I'm overplaying it. Maybe not. Jamar Chase did play, even though he was sick or whatever. 6 for 62, not much. Andre Yosevich, 3 for 26. Okay, the backfield was Zach Moss scoring a rushing touchdown, and Joe Burrow didn't do much, 21-29, 164, no touchdowns, no INTs, but it's like you've just had this bad energy around you if you're Cincinnati, and that continued today.
Yeah, and Joe Burrow is not going to elevate an offense that doesn't have T. Higgins and doesn't have a full speed Jamar Chase. Chase did play most of the snaps. He wasn't a total loss for PPR leagues. But you could just see how limited this offense is. New England, again, traded away their best player on defense right before the season started. And, well, you did have a Tanner Hudson fumble at the goal line. So we could have seen at least a passing touchdown. You did see Zach Moss get that rushing touchdown. You did see Zach Moss well ahead of Chase Brown. So there's an answer for you. Zach Moss is the guy you want to hear. Chase Brown is more of an injury upside guy. And we'll see. Next week, we'll see about T. Higgins. Next week, we'll see a more full-speed Jamar Chase, but we'll also see this team travel to Kansas City.
Yay.
Hey.
Hey. Oh. Hey. Yeah, it's not going to end well. Not going to work anymore. Minnesota Vikings 28-6 over the New York Giants. Some teams just aren't good. The Giants are on that list, and while I'm tempted to skip them, we have to start with Minnesota, and we will talk about them because they kind of just called the dogs off, right? Mm-hmm. So Sam Darnold 208, 2 up, 1 down. Aaron Jones 94 and a touch. Justin Jefferson 4 for 59 and a touch. Jalen Naylor, by the way, had the other touchdown pass or touchdown reception. Jordan Addison didn't do much, 3 for 35. But it's like we didn't really get to feel what Minnesota perhaps could be because, again, they get up big and they're just like, whatever.
Sam Darnold. Here's one of your big winners. I think if you have a list of players that were pleasant surprises, players that gained value, and with Sam Darnold, it's not just Sam Darnold, but it's this whole offense. It's Aaron Jones. And at the beginning, it was kind of a Jones and Chandler thing, but we did see Jones show that he's much better. He deserves the goal line carries. Sam Darnold started out 12 for 12. He led a 99-yard touchdown drive. Now, some of this might be, hey, we're going to pick on the Giants defense. Again, we're going to recontextualize everything that happened this week as we see more things unfold. But for now, this looks like a good offense. It looks like a bad defense. Like you said, Jalen Naylor with a touchdown. And with Jordan Addison aggravating that ankle injury, Jalen Naylor may make an appearance tomorrow morning on the waiver wire show. We're not worried about Justin Jefferson. He looks fine. Again, like you said, Cease, they just called the dogs off. That's the Giants defense with Shane Bowen. You want to see Minnesota against better competition? San Francisco coming for the home opener next week.
Woo-hoo-hoo-hoo. That is more sizzle, that's for sure. I can totally skip the Giants if you want.
Yeah, Malik Neighbors was okay. Devin Singletary
was he the best rookie receiver today? By the way, was Neighbors the best rookie receiver?
Well, Brian Thomas was the best rookie receiver, yes, I think, for fantasy, and also we'll get to that when we get to Jacksonville. But you will see. I think that Drew Lock watch is on. I think you're the Giants. Why are you even risking this injury guarantee at this point? Cecil was all the talk in the offseason. And then as we get to camp, no, Daniel Jones is their man. No, Daniel Jones is the guy. But now you see what is there really to gain, especially for fantasy, by putting Daniel Jones out there. See Flores defense. Remember this, second year Flores defense. They're going to be tough. They're going to harass their opponents. We have a game that should decide top 5 draft position when the Giants go to Washington next week.
Yeah, and you said it, Bloom. Monday waiver wire show. So we'll be doing a Monday waiver wire show. And again, we've got the live show on Thursday. Bob Harris will do some stuff on this show, perhaps Tuesday and Saturday. I don't know if that's yet decided, but yeah, we got plenty for you, including our previews on Wednesday and Thursday, a DFS show on Friday. So do those YouTube things and like us and comment and all those sorts of things. And we appreciate you for that. So as we move on, the Chicago Bears get a win for the first time since 2006 in a game where they had less than 150 yards from scrimmage. Now, part of that was the kneel down at the end of the game. And part of that was Will Levis not being good in crunch time. 24-17, the final score. Bears win. Titans lose. Will Levis, 19-32, 127, 1 touchdown, 2 INTs. I'm glad he got that mayonnaise money. I think it was Fergie that said MILF money. Will Levis ain't getting that, but he's getting the Mayo money. So I'm glad you got the Mayo money, Will, because you're not going to be playing very long in this league if you keep playing like this, especially in crunch time. Calvin Ridley, 3 for 50. Why am I even talking about these guys? Like Tyler Boyd, 3 for 18. Chiggy Okonkwo got a touchdown. Thank you.
Nice touchdown. Yeah.
Nuke Hopkins, 1 for 8, though. Tony Pollard. So again, in the backfields like Cincinnati, Bloom, we did learn. I guess Tajay Spears isn't going to get anything. And Tony Pollard's going to get more, I guess, this week, but who the hell knows? And then Levis has just got to be better, man. The Bears defense showed up, showed out, and Levis struggled when they were trying to move the ball late.
Yeah, I think the headlines here are Tony Pollard, lead back, certainly when the team was playing from the lead, and he looked like a lead back. He looked good. He looked better than he did last year, at least early on last year. You can buy maybe it was that he wasn't 100%. And then Mason Rudolph watch is on. And hey, Mason Rudolph lit the fuse for George Pickens last year. There was a 43-yard touchdown, I think, that Levis missed to Calvin Ridley. So you have Calvin Ridley blame Will Levis. And then Will Levis basically gave the game away. He was getting tackled and just flipped the ball basically directly to Tyreek Stevenson. And the Bears had no business winning this game. They had no business winning this game with special teams touchdown and a defensive touchdown. And again, Chiggy Okonkwo, we want to say he was well covered in the end zone, made a nice touchdown catch. And yeah, you want Mason Rudolph watch to get more intense? The Jets are coming to Tennessee next week.
Oh, Chicago. Rome Odunze, 1 for 11.
Yeah.
Keenan Allen with 11 targets, 4 for 29, though. DJ Moore, 8 targets, 5 for 36. Caleb, 14 or 29 for 93 yards. Lots of short stuff with the rookies today.
Yeah.
We'll get to more of that later. DeAndre Swift, 10 for 30. Why? Okay. So again, they win, but the first time since, I believe it was Rex Grossman, right? In 2006, when they win a game with less than 150 yards from scrimmage.
Yeah, just a horrendous offensive performance, and Tennessee's defense isn't necessarily one that you fear. So again, thankful for Will Levis and a blocked punt. Roma Dunze is on our bench until further notice. But hey, next week it's CJ Stroud, so maybe we could get things open up a little bit. Maybe, but Caleb Williams, no, you're not using him as your starting quarterback. Even DJ Moore is a tough sell right now, and DeAndre Swift. All this talk about his involvement in the passing game. And you just didn't really see rhythm. You didn't really see. I don't really know what the Bears wanted to do on offense in this one. Now, is this one of those situations where Caleb Williams, like an Aaron Rodgers, Patrick Mahomes type quarterback, is not going to really bring structure to life? This, I think, is one we can file very much under week 1 preseason. Let's see what happens against Houston. The Bears are happy to escape with this win that they did not deserve.
Will Ryan Tannehill be on the waiver wire show?
He's not going to go to Green Bay. So it sounds to me like Ryan Tannehill is waiting for a season-ending injury before he's going to sign on that dotted line.
Okay, that's right. Here we go. How's New Orleans tonight? Y'all pretty rowdy? 47-10? Isn't that pretty much the same for New Orleans? Like, you're going to be rowdy.
Oh, yeah.
Win, lose, whatever. Let's party, baby.
It's always a reason to celebrate. Yeah.
Exactly. 47-10 is a reason to celebrate over the Panthers. They're the worst team in football. And, Adam Thielen 3 for 49. So there are things to learn. Don't count on any of your Panthers for much of anything because, boy, this was ugly. And with Bryce Young, it's just there's nothing that he's showing again.
Nothing. Yeah. He looks overwhelmed. He doesn't look like we say sometimes really matter-of-factly that somebody looks like they belong. He doesn't look like he belongs. You change the head coach. You change the offense. You get a new guard and a new center. You get a new number 1 receiver who can get open at will. Nothing changes. Nothing changes. It looks exactly as it did last year. And we'll see. And then Jonathan Mingo had a fumble. At least the Panthers have their first-round pick next year, but the Bears still have their second-round pick. And the Chargers could be going 2-0 visiting Carolina next week.
Okay, let's talk about the Saints side then. Celebrations abound because when Jake Haener comes in, it's rich man, poor man, like an outdoor shower, right? It's either rich man or poor man. It can be both. Jake Haener comes in. It's great because you're beating them 47-10, or it's awful because Derek Carr got hurt. But he didn't get hurt. He threw for 3 touchdowns, 1 to Rashid Shaheed. I love him. 3 for 73 and a touch. Foster Moreau, 343 and a touch. Juwan Johnson, 2 for 26 and a touch. Alvin Kamara, 5 for 27 as a receiver, then 15 for 83 and a rushing touchdown. Jamal Williams, 11 for 38 and a rushing touchdown. Not as much Taysom Hill as maybe fantasy GMs would want, but don't get greedy. They did enough.
Yeah, I think this one was like 30-0 at halftime or something like that. And I guess for fantasy football, and see, this is how fantasy football gets it twisted. Because really, if you have Chris Olave and you didn't watch the games, maybe you went to your team's home opener or something. 47. Oh, Chris Olave had to catch at least 1, 2, 3. Chris Olave is not really a number 1 receiver. They like their tight ends. They like Rashid Shaheed. Alvin Kamara has not lost a step. If there's a fantasy headline other than Chris Olave was vastly overdrafted, it's that Alvin Kamara has not lost a step. Alvin Kamara is still that guy for this team. And no, they're not going to have that many games. And Taysom Hill did get an end zone target that he got both hands on. So it won't be this easy that often for this team. But it says more, I think, about Carolina than New Orleans. And we'll get a better idea of where New Orleans is when they go to Arlington, to Jerry World, face the Cowboys next week.
What do we think about the Steelers? What do we think about the Steelers?
A W is a W, baby. A W is a W.
Never had a losing season. Quarterbacks are garbage. Russell Wilson with shoulder pads on a day he's inactive is the most Russell Wilson thing of all time. It's okay, Russ. You can wear a sweatshirt, maybe even a Team 3 sweatshirt. That's Steelers colors. Get it now at your Russell Wilson website, russellwilson.com. Unlimited.com. 18-10 final score. Steelers get the win. Justin Fields out there doing Justin Fields stuff. 14 for 57 as a runner. And when they designed the runs, I was like, good. Keep it up. That's what they should be doing. Now, it's unfortunate if you like Cordell Patterson or Jalen Warren because like if Fields is going to start, he's going to run. It was 20 carries for Najee, who ran hard, 70 yards, and then it was 14 carries for Justin Fields. Yep, but George Pickens ate a little bit, 6 for 85, good. Nobody else really, because well, it's Justin Fields. He's not going to throw very effectively, but he's going to run all day. So yeah, and now you think, does Russ need to start? I said jokingly when the whole thing went down, I'm like, Russ isn't going to start week 1, but that was more of Fields just beating him out. Fields isn't good either. So here you go, Pittsburgh.
No. Well, what you see is Arthur Smith didn't have him throw over the middle. Just take care of the ball. Just don't turn the ball over. Fields didn't take too many horrible sacks. I think he converted at least 1 3rd and long with his legs. And just like they drew it up, 6 field goals. Chris Boswell even punted at one point. Your MVP of the 2024 Steelers, Chris Boswell. I think 3 of the first 4 were over 50 yards. But, you did see Najee Harris dominate the backfield touches, but I don't know if that's going to continue. I don't know how much of that is Jalen Warren's hamstring. You want to nurse that a little bit. And you saw it for fantasy football. The most important takeaway here is there is a connection between Fields and Pickens. So we have that. Yes, and I think in a game where they have to open up the offense a little bit and they're not nursing a lead in the second half, you might see some bigger things from Pickens. But I think you see those two are simpatico. This team, you go into Atlanta and you win, and you win pretty soundly. I know that it was a 1-score game for the whole game, but this is Justin Fields, so it's a limited offense. This is a team that knows who they are, and they don't care about winning ugly. They don't care about fantasy football. And if you have Drake London, I hope you don't care about fantasy football.
Yeah. Hey, boy. And if you have Kyle Pitts, yay! Something happened. And if you're Kirk Cousins, or you're like, well, my Achilles does hurt some more, because boy, that Steelers defense went after him. They got him. TJ Watt, Highsmith out there making plays. Yeah. It was something. Bijan wasn't Christian McCaffrey like 18 for 68. Got to be better. 5 for 43 as a receiver. Ray McLeod was the leading receiver, but Kyle Pitts had a touchdown. So there you go. And Kirk Cousins looked just out of sorts. Is the Michael Penix watch on?
Not yet, but it's a good question. I mean, it's good to keep this in the background because Cousins was out of sync, and you got to give him that first game back. And it is the Steelers defense. So again, we're going to recontextualize these things. Is Minnesota's offense actually good, or the Giants defense that bad? Is the Steelers offense that good? Is Kirk Cousins just rusty, or maybe it's not going to be what we hoped? You did finally get that Kyle Pitts touchdown. It was on a play that Cousins negotiated the pocket, kept it alive. I think there was a TJ Watt strip sack right before that they ruled Watt was offsides, or wouldn't have even gotten that. Bijan Robinson at least saw the usage. So this is a good cautionary tale about watching practice reports during training camp. Yeah, Tyler Algier was on the field a lot with the first team during training camp, not so much during the game, especially when it came time for the running back to touch the ball. So even though this was a floor game for Bijan in terms of touchdowns, in terms of efficiency as a runner, this is the usage you were looking for. And the offense, it's got to get better than this. And it probably will be better than this. And again, Drake London, Joey Porter, by the way, Joey Porter. Mm-hmm. Yeah. See, the Steelers secondary is not a weakness. That's the thing we're looking at now. Woo. It's not a weakness. Yeah. Patrick Queen, everybody. So this is a defense forward team, and I don't know if defense wins championships anymore. I know it won in Atlanta today, and offense better show up when Atlanta goes to Philadelphia next week.
Yeah, and Pittsburgh against Denver next week. So there you go, Russell Wilson. Blah. Please fill me in on the Tyreek situation. I had a very busy morning, so I was doing public appearances. I'm Cecil Lammey. Right? So please fill me in, Bloom, because that was just odd when Adam Schefter reported that with the video. So, what was the deal?
I mean, I guess there was a traffic infraction, and then it escalated with some words, and then it looked like maybe there was going to be an arrest, and then everything got cleared up. So, here's hopefully to more police-citizen interactions that end up just cleared up. Are you making all that Cecil Lammey autograph memorabilia I have? Is it going up in value?
Yes, it's going up in value, and we'll see if I can keep that up. But hey, let's see if the Jaguars can hold on to a lead, because they couldn't do that today. It seemed at one point Arizona's going to beat Buffalo, Jacksonville's going to beat the Dolphins. Neither happened. because it's 2017. Dolphins fought back at home. They win. Jacksonville goes to 0-1. And then you look at Gabe Davis, 3 for 62. Brian Thomas, there he is, 4 for 47 and a touch. Christian Kirk only 1 for 30. You want a little bit more. Trevor Lawrence, you want a little bit more. 12 of 21, 162, 1 touchdown, no INTs. Tank Bigsby with 73 yards on the ground, but it's Travis Etienne with 44 and a rushing touchdown. So you're like, okay, Jacksonville, you've got more talent than this. It was just a bit off for Doug Peterson and company.
Yeah, they were in control of this game, or it appeared that way. They lose at a field goal at the buzzer. I will say Brian Thomas Jr. looks like he's going to be a star. He got 1 touchdown, and it was beautiful. It was a beautiful catch. It was a pro's catch, because Brian Thomas Jr. comes into the league. His calling card is speed and size, but it's his strong hands and some twinkle toe footwork at the back of the end zone. And he drew the pass interference. Jalen Ramsey says, whoa, this rookie. Jalen Ramsey pass interference in the end zone. That sets up Travis Etienne's touchdown. And if you did not get that Travis Etienne touchdown, you would be very disappointed. And maybe it's a bad thing that you got the Travis Etienne touchdown, because he was outplayed by Tank Bigsby. And he also had a costly fumble. So this is a backfield committee. We are going to talk about Tank Bigsby on the Waiver Wire show tomorrow.
Nice.
And Travis Etienne's going to be one of those players that where is his stock headed? It's certainly not headed up. And if we were going to list after Mark Andrews, if we were going to list players that you were really having some regrets if you drafted them, I think Travis Etienne should be at or near the top of that list, partially because of what we saw from Bigsby, but also Etienne. And then Christian Kirk's on that list. Evan Ingram's on that list, because Gabe Davis was also impressive in this game. So the 2 new additions, Thomas and Davis, I think are the guys right now for Trevor Lawrence. And Kirk and Ingram not really doing too much. So I do think this is an interesting thing to watch as this Jacksonville offense evolves. And if it is Thomas and Davis, that could be better for Lawrence and this team in the long run.
No regrets right here.
Yeah.
I'll get it tattooed. Tattered on your chest. Tua Tagovailoa, 338, 1 touchdown to Tyreek Hill, 7 for 130 and a touch. Jalen Waddle, 5 for 109. Everything's okay there. Devon Achane, 7 for 76 as a receiver, and then 10 for 24 and a rushing touchdown. Everything's okay there. Raheem Mostert isn't going to score 100 touchdowns like he did last year. So, and then Jeff Wilson led the way on the ground with 26 yards. It's Miami. This is what they do, right? They're going to rotate through talent. Reek and Jalen are going to do their thing. And then, A-Chain 1 week, Mostert another week, maybe some of the both week. Like, all right, I'm just waiting on my Jonnu Smith stock to grow.
Right. As soon as you saw that saw the video about Hill, you knew he was going to have a big game. 80-yard touchdown in this one for him. And the running game really got stuck in neutral. It was Devon Achane getting the lead back carries and, more importantly, getting the short touchdown. So you're a little dismayed if you have Mostert. You're not going to drop him, but you're not going to play him on Thursday against Buffalo. Actually, Jeff Wilson got 5 carries to his 6. You want to see this running game gets going. And in the meantime, you are going to see Tua throw deep a lot. And Tua is more mobile now. Tua is a little more elusive. But you saw Jalen Waddle get sidelined briefly, concussion scare, get back in there, had a nice long catch. So you didn't see much Jonnu Smith. And that was basically, this is going to be Achane. And then how many times have we heard the running back's going to be more involved in the passing game? Travis Etienne, for instance. Well, they meant it with Devon Achane, as those 7 catches, and they are thin at wide receiver as it is. Odell Beckham, Malik Washington, both hurt. So I think that this is they escape with a win, and we'll see where they really are. Of course, it's funny how the AFC East has changed, because it used to be everyone's looking up in New England. Now it's everyone's looking up at Buffalo. So if Miami can go on the road on Thursday and get a win, they can stake their claim to say, maybe this is the year we show what we can do.
Right. This is the year that Houston goes to the Super Bowl. Yeah, maybe if Joe Mixon can survive, because my God, how many times did we hear it in the offseason? He's going to have a big workload. And then he misses all the time in training camp, preseason. He's going to have a big workload. He had a big workload, everybody. Can he hold up?
Big workload.
Yeah. Houston Texans 29, Indianapolis Colts 27, Joe Mixon 30 carries, 159 yards, 1 touchdown. Nico Collins 6 for 117. Stephon Diggs, pretty good, huh? 6 for 33 and 2 touchdowns. Tank Dell 3 for 40. By the way, Mixon had 3 catches for 19 yards. Nothing from anybody else. CJ Stroud 234, 2 touchdowns, no INTs. Was sacked 4 times, but yeah, Houston, they got a closer. His name's Joe Mixon.
Ooh, yeah. And you also see all 3 of the receivers. I know Tank Dell didn't have a big game, but the big games are going to come. Stephon Diggs, a lot of the short stuff, but went short stuff in the red zone for 2 touchdowns. You like that. And then Nico Collins in a massive 3rd and 11 catch to help ice this game for Nico Collins. CJ Stroud, that's the guy he's going to trust whenever the game is on the line. And then hello, Joe Mixon. No, he's not going to get 510, 17 games. He's not going to get 510 carries, but he is one of those players on the list of you're happy if you drafted him. Maybe he's a sell high, but I don't know, because this is a team that I think for now we have to say they had Joe Mixon gauged correctly when they thought he was a workhorse. And CJ Stroud, this was the one game today, Cease, that felt like a mid-season game. And it was a great back and forth game. It was a great game to highlight 2 of the best young, exciting talents at quarterback. I think it's where this division is headed now. And you get a road win. CJ Stroud, again, this is not a mirage. This team is absolutely in a Super Bowl window.
Yeah, and wasn't it funny, Bloom, when we would wonder, like, what's the NFL going to do after Brady and Manning retire? They're fine.
Yeah.
They're fine.
You brought it up real quick. It's because more guys are getting a chance to play quarterback early on, like high school on up, than would have 10 or 15 years ago.
Mm-hmm. And the NFL is more open to allowing guys like Anthony Richardson to just kind of learn on the job. And they'll win from the pocket eventually, but now just go run and throw it up there and throw some dimes if you can. So there you go. Anthony Richardson, 212, 2 touchdowns, 1 INT. Alec Pierce got a 60-yard bomb, 3 for 125 and a touch. Ashton Doolin, 1 for 54 and a touch. Michael Pittman, 4 for 31. And then Jonathan Taylor, 16 for 48, a rushing touchdown. Richardson with 56 yards and a rushing touchdown himself, but falling short. And again, because the defense couldn't stop Joe Mixon at the end.
Yeah. And there were some plays that Richardson left on the field. That's the thing. As Mac is saying in the chat room right now, the best throw of the day. The best lineman, he could not step into the throw. He could not step in the throw and threw it about 60 yards in the air to Alec Pierce, who got behind the defense, and he led Pierce perfectly. Cease, one of the pet peeves, especially on these deep post routes, one of the pet peeves is, on a post route or on a route where a receiver has an angle vector, you just have to lead him. That's all you have to do. And you got a touchdown. And Anthony Richardson did that with a lineman in his face. And it was really just feel this throw. And it was one of the best deep throws you're ever going to see. And he did not have his ideal mechanics. There were 2 other throws to A.D. Mitchell. A.D. Mitchell could have been the rookie receiver we're talking about. He got open downfield twice for 2 touchdowns, and Richardson missed him. So Richardson, there's room to grow. That's what's great. You got Richardson. Why is everyone so excited about Anthony Richardson? Watch this game and watch him as a runner. And yeah, he took some shots, but he's also so big and so tough to take down. That's why he takes those shots. You got a touchdown from Jonathan Taylor. At least you know that it was a block punt that set it up. But at least he can still get some short yardage. It isn't like Josh Allen bogarting all the touchdowns for Buffalo. Ashton Doolin, remember him? He was coming on before he had a pretty rough knee injury. He had a long touchdown. So what you really like here, too, is that Shane Steichen's going to let him throw. This isn't like Kyler Murray to just keep it close to the line of scrimmage, Anthony Richardson is going to get a chance to throw downfield. He's going to get a chance to play football with the great feel for the game that he does have and the great tools that he has. And Josh Downs wasn't out there. So this is going to be a really exciting offense. This was a heavyweight fight. And Michael Pittman maybe is the one guy who gets left out here because he's not running those deep routes. He's not the downfield receiver. And Green Bay's got to deal with, I guess, Malik Willis as the starter and Anthony Richardson as the opposing quarterback next week.
Yes, that is correct. Chargers and Raiders. Chargers get the win 22-10 over the Raiders. Gardner Minshew goes 25 of 33, 257, 1 touchdown, 1 INT. Zamir White, 13 for 44 in this contest. Jacoby Myers, 3 for 61. It was Alexander Madison with the receiving touchdown. Brock Bowers, 6 for 58. He's a little bit banged up entering this game, so, there's that. Devontae Adams, totally not unhappy. It's 5 for 59. Okay, get him a little bit more there, but man alive, the Raiders just couldn't do much. It's not like the Chargers blew them out of the water, but yeah, this is what you get, Las Vegas.
Yeah, Vegas, you saw Gardner Minshew at least is going to have this passing game with a fantasy pulse. Brock Bowers, it's one of the best tight end plays of the day. So you saw the emphasis on the rookie. We like that. Otherwise, Jacoby Myers is good. So that's going to complicate things because Jacoby Myers is good. Devontae Adams, we know he's good. Gardner Minshew has something to add to this pass offense, including passes to Alexander Madison, who his catch and run touchdown was the highlight of the day for this offense. Zamir White, the one run where he really got going, he fumbled. So we thought this was going to be a good game for Zamir White. We thought they were going to be able to stay competitive in this one, and they were kind of competitive in this one. But if Zamir White's not going to get it done in this game, he's probably not going to get it done next week against an angry. You think Baltimore's angry, Cease?
I think Baltimore's plenty angry. That's for sure. Isaiah Likely after that game was like, that's all you got. Good luck in the playoffs.
Yeah.
Okay, Isaiah, you may be facing them blankety blankers again.
Yeah. Yeah.
They ain't coming to your house.
Worry about yourself. Worry about yourself.
Look at our guy, Devin Knotts. Devin, what's up, dude? That guy's the man.
Hey, the Guardians are good, Devin. The Guardians are, they're going to win the division probably. And they lost their best pitcher to begin the season. So you got that.
I was going to say, is that baseball talk?
Baseball talk. No football talk for Cleveland. No, verboten.
That's
German.
Guardians are good, and Ohio State is good. So that means Devin's happy-ish. Anyway, is this just how the Chargers are going to be? Like, seriously, like 1,000% going into this game, I'm like, you're going to limit Justin Herbert. Ladd McConkey's going to do his thing because, Quentin Johnston's not good at football. And they're going to run the hell out of the ball. And that's exactly what they do with Gus Bus and J.K. Dobbins. So, box score, whatever. And, hey, 22 points.
Yeah.
But my question to you, Bloom, is merely this. I mean, this is what they're going to do, right? I mean, there's going to be 25 passing attempts, 30 rushing attempts, really limited. And fantasy GMs are going to be like, oh, my God, Justin Herbert, I remember when.
Well, but it results in wins, Cease. Everywhere Jim Harbaugh has coached, it results in wins. So why are we going to argue with it? J.K. Dobbins, one of the big stories today, coming to the Waiver Wire show. Achilles last year. We're still waiting for that guy to really show that the Achilles is not the death knell for running backs. Maybe it's J.K. Dobbins, as he looked a lot more viable than Gus Edwards. And yeah, Kamani Vidal was a healthy scratch in this one, but the plan was always that they were going to see what they had and they were going to wonder what's Vidal going to do. Well, they don't have to wonder what Dobbins is going to do. Or Ladd McConkey. And you liked the yoink zoop in the red zone there, getting that touchdown, making a few guys miss. And I think McConkey, if there's going to be somebody we can count on week to week, it will be McConkey. But as you said, they're going to, by design, limit pass attempts again next week. So we want a game to say, well, what are they going to do when they get behind? What are they going to do when they have to rely on Justin Herbert? Not next week against Carolina. That's not going to happen.
Yeah, that's not going to happen at all whatsoever. I don't want to turn this into a Brown show, but because Mac brought it up, and he's talking about next season. I believe, take this as a lassie bark if you like, but the Russell Wilson, just pay him to get out of here. That's going to happen with Deshaun Watson.
Yeah, see, we've been talking about this on the show for months now, and teams are not afraid of the stigma of taking on a giant cap hit whenever it's clear that it ain't working. And yeah, for Deshaun Watson in Cleveland, ain't working.
It ain't working. That's for sure. That is for sure. For certain. For sure. All right. Next up. What's our next game here? Are we to the Broncos yet? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Hey, everybody.
It's a Broncos show.
It is a Broncos show. 26-20. Seattle gets the win. It wasn't that close. It was a late drive where Bo got to deal-ish, kind of, that set it up to make it a 6-point game. You're like, wow, Broncos are really close. Well, they got the ball in Seattle's territory multiple times, couldn't come away with anything but field goals. Sean Payton didn't seem like he trusted Bo Nix at all. At all. A terrible game plan from Sean Payton because everything was just short. And before anyone says, well, that's what he did at Oregon, he threw to the open guy at Oregon. And also, when you blitzed him, he'd kill you. He's number one in college football last year of air yards per attempt under pressure. It was almost 10 yards per air yards per attempt under pressure. Caleb Williams was at 3 yards, just to show you the difference. So Bo can go downfield. It's just today his mechanics were off. His receivers were dropping passes. They certainly missed Tim Patrick. Devon Vele was nice. 8 targets, 8 catches, but only 39 yards. They can't run the ball. Javonte still doesn't look the same. He only got 8 carries. Jaleel fumbling. Estime fumbling. Maybe Estime gets a little more work, but he's got to hang on to the rock. So I don't know. Let's talk about Bo. And it's early.
Yeah.
Nobody should be saying like,
Sure.
"Oh, you don't believe." Like, no, you can believe. It's fine.
Well, see, I think this is one of those situations where Sean Payton, wait until next year. Can I have one more wait until next year? I know last year we said wait until next year. This year we're going to say wait until next year. Just because I don't know how you can attempt to compete in the NFL when you have an offensive game plan like this. So maybe it's the Bo Nix isn't ready. When is Bo Nix going to be ready? Maybe not until next year. Maybe not. I don't know. But I don't know how much longer we'll take on faith that Sean Payton's got something up his sleeve. Sean Payton is a football genius. Just wait and see. Well, we're still waiting. And as expected, there's just not going to be anybody you can trust in this offense for fantasy football. And again, it's the Steelers. Look at how they made Kirk Cousins look today. How are they going to make Bo Nix look? Ooh. What is Sean Payton just not going to call any run? They're going to punt on third down because save the kids some punishment because that's what's coming.
Yeah, that is what's coming. And what's coming for Seattle is they finally figured out with Kenneth Walker, just keep feeding him the rock. The Broncos were stuffing the run early. They had 2 safeties in this. And I was at the Ameristar, and someone said, do you know the line or the prop or whatever for 2 safeties in the first half was like plus 50,000? It just doesn't happen.
I didn't even know they offered that.
Yeah, I don't know if they did, but it might have been a joke. But anyway, it's like, okay, so you had 2 safeties. They're stuffing the run. In the second half, Seattle just ran it. I mean, Geno didn't do a whole lot. Him and Lockett had a special connection. He was going after Riley Moss a little bit. DK didn't do much. Jackson Smith and Jigba, renewed work ethic, didn't do much. It's the Kenneth Walker show, and it's a pretty good show.
Yeah, here's your biggest winner of the day, maybe Kenneth Walker. All this talk, and again, the signs are all there. The Seahawks have been talking about this new regime, talking about Walker. Like, this is a guy that we can make our future back, that we can have him in a more conservative offense, not actually the barnstorming offense that Ryan Grubb had with Michael Penix last year. And Lockett's okay, and Lockett's going to make it harder for DK Metcalf and harder for Jackson Smith and Jigba. And because the Broncos weren't really even a credible opponent, this pass offense didn't really need to open up. You did see Geno Smith some rushing touchdown here, so that helps him, maybe makes him a little more fantasy viable. And Seattle goes to New England next week in a rematch of a tremendous Super Bowl.
Now we're here at the Cowboys and Browns. Oh boy. Cowboys and Browns. And are you a little surprised the Dak deal got done like this late?
Yeah, very surprised. Only because Dak had all the leverage. And at that point, the question is, does Dak want to continue to play for the Cowboys? And I guess the answer is yes, but also he got the $60 million deal. He got the tax. He got you waited, so you have to pay. So I was surprised, but isn't that a nice feeling for this team to go into this game knowing who their quarterback's going to be for the next 4 years?
Yeah, Jerry finally got it done. Micah's still got to get done, though, right? Is that right?
Yes.
Micah?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, okay.
And it will.
All right. Yeah, for sure. Dak, 179, 1 touchdown, no INTs. It's the Browns. 33-17. They won. You'll be shocked. They won. CeeDee Lamb, 5 for 61. Brandon Cooks, 4 for 40 and a touchdown. Maybe waiver wire. Maybe. Y'all should have drafted him anyway. Ezekiel Elliott, I mean, I guess you'll take this, but they're not happy with the running backs and the whole Dalvin Cook. What? That was terrible. Anyway, Rico Dowdle didn't do anything. Zeke, I'm in a mood, Bloom, but like a touchdown for Zeke, I guess. I mean,
the ceiling game.
Exactly. You should be looking for a running back at the trade deadline if you're Dallas. Khalil Herbert. Anyway, let's talk about them Cowboys.
Yeah, it wasn't really a game with exhibition, honestly. I don't even know much about this offense. Jake Ferguson got hurt. That's something to watch. Luke Schoonmaker. there's going to be more there for Lamb. There's going to be more there for Cooks. It just they have to play a team that is competitive, maybe like the Saints next week. Zeke, okay. I mean, Zeke doesn't look like he has 1 foot in the grave. He did get that touchdown. It was a well-blocked touchdown. Okay. I mean, so you went in. I mean, Cease, I think the story here is not that, we're not giving Dallas any credit for beating Cleveland on the road to open the season. It's that Cleveland was embarrassing, humiliating in front of their crowd. And remember, this was a team that got to the playoffs with Joe Flacco last year. We know they have a defense. And we know they have a good roster on paper and a team that should be ascendant in, albeit the best division in the NFL, led by the Pittsburgh Steelers right now as we speak. But this is a problem. And see, we've said this for years. Teams take on the personality of their head coach and their quarterback. And I think what you're seeing is Deshaun Watson's energy is just fouling the room here. And Jameis Winston watch has to be on, or they're going to lose the team. They're just going to lose the players.
Everybody loves Jameis.
Yeah.
Right? Like, just make it happen. Judy got a touchdown, so there you go. Jerome Ford got a touchdown. Cool. But Deshaun Watson,
he jumps into the crowd too.
Yeah. Was it Lester who said, like, Deshaun doesn't want to play football?
It doesn't look like it. It's a hard game. It's punishing. It's brutal. And see, I hate to say this, but maybe in some ways the owners were right. This is a fully guaranteed contract may be part of this story, but I know that this story is not going to have a happy ending for Deshaun Watson, and it's not going to have a happy ending for the Browns as long as Deshaun Watson's the quarterback. David Njoku got hurt today. At least Jerome Ford had some good garbage time stats. So at least we have garbage time. And I'm afraid, and we'll see against Jacksonville next week, a team that has its own doldrums. But we'll see what happens with this Cleveland team, because I just think at this point it's clear that this team isn't that bad. But I think you can see the change from Joe Flacco to Deshaun Watson. It elementary, my dear Watson.
Very much so. I think our last game, I'm double checking, make sure we got all the games.
Yeah.
I think our last game is Tampa Bay and the Commanders. 37-20 is the final score in Jaden Daniels. My God, he's got to stay healthy, though. And I worry about that. As a passer, 17-24. By the way, 37-20. I don't know if I already said that. Bucks over the Commanders. Bucks over the Cobra Commanders. Anyway, 184 and then 88 yards rushing and 2 rushing touchdowns. Brian Robinson did have a rushing touchdown and 40 yards. Austin Eckler had 10 yards running and then 52 yards receiving as their number one receiver. Ryan Robinson had 49 yards, 50, almost there, 49 yards. So, like, and they had talked about this before. Like, you don't talk about it, you want to be about it. They had said in the offseason, Bloom, of like, hey, both are going to catch passes. Both Robinson and Eckler are going to catch passes. I've written about it on the Football Guys Newswire. Right. And guess what happened today? Both of them caught passes and nobody else caught anything.
Yeah, from a fantasy standpoint, you're kind of excited here because, well, Washington defense is bad. And in garbage time, Jaden Daniels got 1 rushing touchdown. He got another rushing touchdown when the game wasn't quite out of hand. And no, it wasn't much there in the passing game. So poor Terry McLaurin. Maybe it isn't going to happen for Terry McLaurin. This is a tough matchup. Todd Bowles, tough matchup. Again, Giants next week. Don't give up on Terry McLaurin yet. Maybe you don't put him in. Maybe you miss out on 2 touchdowns because Jaden Daniels, he's loose out there, and he had a great fantasy day, even though his team did not have a good day. And Brian Robinson is basically a feature back. He's looking good as a receiver. He's looking good as a runner. Unfortunately, he's on a team that has a poor offensive line. He's on a team that isn't going to control many games because of their defense, but he's a good running back. And certainly he is on the list of you're happy if you drafted this player. If we were drafting tomorrow, this player would go a round or 2 higher, maybe 3. With Brian Robinson and what he did in this game. And that's with Jaden Daniels getting 2 rushing touchdowns.
Baker Mayfield's a good quarterback.
Woo.
Yeah.
Hey, how would the Browns be doing if they still had Baker Mayfield?
Bloom off the top rope. You're not lying.
Yeah. I'm a Steelers fan.
Yeah.
That one was for Matt Waldman.
There you go, Matt. Take it. Take that. 4 touchdowns for Baker and 289. Mike Evans, love him. 2 touchdowns, 5 for 61. Jalen McMillan, 1 for 32 and a touchdown. Message. 8 for 83 and a touchdown for Chris Godwin. Rachaad White, 6 for 75 as a receiver. 15 for 31 on the ground. It was Bucky Irvin leading the way on the ground, 9 for 62. And then Bucky only had a couple of catches. Why doesn't he get the 6 targets? You know, although 6 for 75 is pretty healthy average there for Rachaad White. So whatever is whatever. You know, love Bucky. Yeah. We'll see that continue. But yeah, Baker slinging it at home. Bucks are going to be tough to beat.
Yeah, your fantasy star quarterback of week 1 is, drumroll, Baker Mayfield.
What?
This is what the card is. The name on the card. That must be. Yeah, and it's Washington. And again, we'll see if the Giants offense can't get the engine to turn over against Washington next week. Now you've really got problems. And perhaps Tampa going against Detroit right now. Detroit's playing right now as we record, going against Detroit next week. So you have to think this is going to continue to keep going. This is Chris Godwin in the slot making hay. This is Mike Evans. All he does is catch touchdowns, Hall of Famer. And Jalen McMillan could have had 2 touchdowns in this one. Poor Cade Otton. That's the guy who's not going to be included here. This is really a 3 wide receiver offense. Liam Cohen coming from the Sean McVay tree. And yeah, Rachaad White bailed out his fantasy teams with his passing game involvement. And it may well be that this offense is so good that even if Rachaad White just settles in at 50, 60% of the backfield work, that's going to be enough for him to return value on what you had to pay. I'd rather have Rachaad White than Travis Etienne right now. I'll say that. So this is a Tampa team. And see, when you talk about Super Bowl teams in the NFC, nobody's talking about Tampa. But you know who I think is talking about Tampa as a Super Bowl team? Tampa. And they looked like it today.
Mm-hmm. We've missed you so much live. Just like we missed Dr.
Oh,
Gene.
we love you. We love folks. We love our people. We're nothing without you. We're nothing without you. And we don't spend as much time together as we used to, but in our hearts, you're with us. And see, so I know we say this a lot, 19 years. What are we up to? 5,000 shows now? I don't even know. A lot of shows, a lot of time spent in front of the camera, talking about football, talking about whatever slants through our gourds. But it's because of all of you. It's because of all of you that we're doing this, and that's a good thing. What that means is you power us, and you help us stay so energetic. And there it is. See, there's some of my autographs. See, this is what you miss on the YouTube show if you don't come. My autograph Cecil and Lammey memorabilia. I've got a great collection, and it is fun to spend time with people that you care about. And it is fun to have shared experiences. And no matter what happens on a football Sunday, it's important to savor that we're here and it's now and we're together. And we get to do that for 17 more weeks and then some playoffs and stuff. So more than what happens with the Steelers or my fantasy teams or wrong. See, it's getting a chance to see you more often. It's getting a chance at least every Sunday to spend time with our chat room folks. You know, y'all know you can hit me on Twitter, X, whatever it is, and just staying in touch and reminding each other that we're out here and we care about each other and we're happy to be part of each other's lives.
1000%. Speaking of Twitter X, make sure to follow Sigmund on that at Sigmund Bloom. The show is at the Audible. I'm at Cecil Lammey there as well. And we certainly do appreciate you very much. Sunday show's live. Monday will be a waiver wire show. Tuesday, there hopes to be a Bob Harris show. Wednesday preview, Thursday night live with Matt Waldman. So always spend time with Matt Waldman. That's always a good thing. And of course, Friday, where's our guy Devin? Where's the DFS show, right? Get it done. That's what we do on this show. And also a Saturday Bob Harris show, perhaps. Don't want to give too much away, but we're here. We made it. So, was it good for you too?
Always good. Always good. And it's just going to get better.
All righty then. All right. That's he's Sigmund. I'm Cecil. We are the Audible. Everyone out there, thanks for watching. Stay tuned. And would you please stay frosty?